Hi everyone, I'm Cody, W3AMG with Bridgecom Systems, and today we're going to be doing a Q&A, Ask Me Anything for DMR and all of amateur radio related ideas. So we've got some products here set up so we can hopefully do some demos if you guys have questions. So before we do that, I want to do a few shout outs here and also make a couple quick announcements. So we do have a giveaway, a brand new giveaway going on right now. We're giving away over $4,500 worth of awesome amateur radio gear to one lucky winner. So be sure to check that out. Sign up for that giveaway. A lot of value there. You could be that lucky winner, and that would be awesome. So make sure you check that out. Let's do some shout outs. Who do we have in the house today? Let's see here. We have Jim, KD9FQC. See, we have Kenny, KG5KS. See. We have a N1ZKH. Good morning. Who else do we have in the house? Awesome. So we have quite a few folks here. Oh, David, KD9EPN, good morning. Awesome, so we have quite a few people. Oh, Roy, KA8BYU, awesome. Thanks for stopping by. Ron, VE5RS. There we go, lots of people joining in, awesome. We'll hopefully get a lot of your questions answered today. This is a great time, start asking some questions. Let us know what you're struggling with, some things you haven't figured out yet, or any questions related to amateur radio. We'll do our best to answer them here. Mainly focused on the Antitone products and the Skybridge, everything like that, and DMR. But we're open to anything. So let's start getting some questions rolling in. Do some more shout outs. When W6VS. Alan, KB1YO. Awesome. Chris, VE7. UTV. Let's see, I build sheds, KK7 DWV. Awesome. Let's see who else we have here. Okay, starting to get some questions roll in. We have Timothy, KM4VCR. Like the call sign. Okay, awesome. I build shed says he is a new ham here, the KK7 7DW. Awesome. Well, that's glad to hear. Welcome to the club. Congratulations. Okay, perfect. We're starting to get some questions. Let's get these rolling in here. Okay. Here's a question. Question for Cody: is the Skybridge Plus safe to leave powered on 24/7? Or is there a recommended max power on time? That's a great question. So the Skybridge, you can leave that plugged in all day and night. It's not going to be a problem for it. It basically is like a computer. You can leave that running no matter what. It's got ventilation, as you'll see in the side. There's actually ventilation on it. So it's not going to have any trouble with running constantly. So don't have to worry about it. If you want to leave that running, it's not going to be a problem for you. If you do want to shut it down, you can do that too. But it should not affect you at all if you want to leave it running. But great question. Awesome. Let's see what's next. Here we go. Here's a question. Scott asks, I have an ultra code plug. Can that be merged with my handmade code plug? Fantastic question. We get this quite a bit because people get the ultra code plug or they have a plug and play package and they want to expand their reach in the DMR, start making more QSOs. Is you can reach out a long way with DMR, but you have your local stuff, your local code plug that you already spent that time to program, but you don't want to lose that. You can absolutely do that. We have a video that covers it, but the basic idea, we'll actually do a real quick demo. I'm not going to do the whole thing, but I'll show you how this would work. If we jump into the computer here, so if you're on your computer in the CPS, what you would do this for both your old code plug and your new one. Get it loaded in the CPS, and then go to Tool, Export, and then either export all or maybe just a channel list. It depends what all you want to combine. You take both of those files, you get them in like an Excel format, and then you actually transfer the information from your local plug over to the ultracode plug. All those added things, and then put them in, add your extra zones in. At that point, go to your new code plug and go to Tool and Import, and you're going to be able to import that combined code plug. That'll be the easiest way to do it. It also works if you're going from an older version of radio to a newer version. So awesome. Let's see. Oh, here we go. Lots of questions rolling in. Okay. Here we go. Jim asked the question, am I correct in assuming that if a repeater is no longer listed in Brandmeister, that it will no longer handle DMR traffic? Jim, KD9FQC. So potentially, if it's not listed in Brandmeister, it probably means it's not on the Brandmeister network. Doesn't mean it's not going to handle DMR. It may still be a DMR repeater, either for local DMR, because DMR doesn't have to connect to a network. Generally, we want to. But you can talk locally on DMR and still have all the benefits, greater battery life, better signal quality, and you don't have that at the edge of your signal where you're kind of fading in and out like on analog. It could also be it's on a different network, so maybe they switched to TGIF or one of the other networks out there. You just have to find out why, but just because it's not on Brandmeister doesn't necessarily mean it's not a DMR repeater. Awesome, here we go. Here we go. Hi, Cody. N6KV, been a ham for 42 years, analog ham. DMR is Greek to me. So we actually get this all the time. A lot of people, it is completely Greek to them. And it was to me at the start too, because everything, all the terminology is a little bit different. What's the point? What's it do? A lot of people are having fun with it, but how do I get involved? We get this all the time. That's actually, we do our best to try to help people with that learning curve because DMR is awesome. You can take your handheld radio at the tips of your fingers and talk to people in other countries around the world with the DMR network. But it can be a little bit tough to get into it. So what we've done, we have a few different options depending on your expertise and your time commitments and everything like that to help you get into that. So when you get a radio, we just throw in Bridgecom University for free. So that's a course that'll take you start to finish of actually setting up your radio, learning about DMR, what all those different terminologies mean, and programming your radio. And then if you don't have as much time on your hands, we also have a plug-and-play package where we take your radio and your Skybridge and we actually do all that setup for you. So in that package, we'll take your call sign, your DMR ID. If you don't have them, we'll help you get them. And then at that point, we'll program everything for you, all those different talk groups around the world, and put everything in the package so you can get it and start making contacts and QSOs right out in the box. And we're also doing streams like this, so answer questions, help people with their problems. So if you're worried about it, definitely get yourself a radio, jump in. It's going to be worth it for you. Okay. Here we go. Here's a question. K5LA. Cody, how do I program the menu keys on the Antitone 578 mic? Great question. So I don't actually have a 578 here, but it's going to be very similar on this radio. What you'll do is actually, let me switch over to a radio so you can see. So you'll take your radio here and just go into the menu, and we'll go down here. Let's see, go to settings. Oops. Go to settings, and then at this point you'll go to radio set and key function. Now at this point, On your 578, you'll be able to select, it'll have those additional keys for your buttons on the mic. You can program them to do pretty much whatever you want. And you can also program a lot of the other keys. So like on that 578, on the front of it, you can program that key as well. So all those buttons on the front of your radio, they can be modified to do things. So hopefully that helps. Okay. Let's see, find another question here. Okay, here we go. A lot of questions rolling in. This is awesome. Alan, let's see. I have an 878 Plus and a Skybridge. My grandson just got his tech license. That's awesome. Congratulations. If I buy him an 878 UV2 Plus, can we both share the same Skybridge at the same time? That's a good question. We get this quite a bit with people, either them and one of their other friends, or them and their wife. If their wife has a call sign, they, in the same household, want to use the same Skybridge with 2 different radios. So you can absolutely do this, not simultaneously. So if you literally want to talk at the same time, on different talk groups or whatnot, that's not going to work out for you. But you can totally use the same Skybridge without having to make any changes to it. It's just if he wants to talk and then you want to do some talking, that'll work great. All you have to do is just make sure it's set up to public instead of private. That way everyone's going to be able to talk on it, and it will actually use the DMR ID that you have programmed in your radio. So that's the, let me see if we can sign into this here. It says listening. I haven't reprogrammed this since we got back from the show, so it might need some programming and setup. So there will be an IP address on the front of your Skybridge once you have it plugged in your network. So let's switch over to the computer here. I'll show you where that setting is for public and private. Okay, switch over here. So open up a web browser, just any web browser, as long as you're on the same network, and we will type in that IP address. So in this case, 192.168.1.177. There we have it. So type that in on your web browser. Then just go to configuration. Now if it asks you for a username and password, that's going to be pi-star, and the password is raspberry, R-A-S-P-B-E-R-R-Y. Type that in, there you have it. So once you're inside here, just scroll down. Obviously you'll do your initial setup. Just because the node call sign is your call sign, they're actually going to see the call sign that comes through on the radio. So if yourself and your grandson have different call signs, as long as that's in the radio, that's going to be fine. So you'll go down here in the node type. You want that node type to be set to public. So you'll click public and then apply changes, and you're going to be set. Hopefully that's helpful to you. Oops. Awesome. Let's find another question here. Okay, oops. Okay, here's a question. How can I use both channels at the same time? I would like to use A for DMR and B for digital. Okay, I'm trying to fully understand. So if you're talking about your A and your B channels, you can use them, not literally at the same time, but you can have them both set to different things. So when you're in one, you'll just set it to what you want. And then when you switch over to your VFO-B or A, you can choose the other channel. That can be digital or analog. You can even have dual watch, so it will basically scan between the two real fast, and if one comes through, it's what you're going to hear. The 578 can do true dual monitoring, so because it has 2 receivers, it can monitor both at the same time. Hopefully that answers your question. If not, elaborate some more on that. We'll come back to you. Awesome. Here we go. Let's see. Joe asks, I've noticed that if I move channels around, the channel list that the reference to them from the zone breaks. Is that correct? Trying to understand here. Okay, so I'm understanding now. So you're referring to if you're in like, you've exported your list to Excel, and I get it. I totally understand what you're saying now. Correct. So if you move your channels around in that list out in Excel, so let's say you've done an export and you move some channels, correct. Yeah, your zones are not going to work correctly at that point, so you'll have to rebuild your zones. Now, if you just add channels below, you shouldn't have any problems there. Okay. Let's see. Steve, KK7DTW, give you a shout out there. Great videos. Thank you. I appreciate it. We're trying to help as many people as we can here. And we do get a lot of questions coming through, so I apologize if I ever missed your question. It can happen. We'll just tune back in. We're doing these every week. Let's see if we can, any more questions, folks? I think there's some down here that we skipped over. Here we go. Roy asks, Cody, what's the expected runtime for the Bluetooth push-to-talk button for the 878? That's a good question. So the runtime for that button is going to vastly vary depending on how much you use it. If you're using it constantly all day, you know, it's probably going to last you a few days, maybe a week. If you're using it rarely, it might last you a month or two. It will need to be charged periodically. But it's USB, so you can charge it just about anywhere like a cell phone or anything else. So overall, pretty good battery life, but it will definitely depend on how much you use it. If you're using it nonstop, it'll get you through a few days. If you're using it just here and there, it might last you a few weeks. Okay. Oops. Awesome. Thank you for your question. Okay, here we go. Here's a question from Rick. Hey, Cody. Rick KA0RLR here. I'm having trouble adding the Brandmeister repeater to my 878. Any advice, or do I need to rewrite my whole code plug? So if you have a repeater, a DMR repeater on Brandmeister, and it's not working for you, you shouldn't have to rewrite your whole code plug. I guess more specifically, what is not working? Maybe we can help you out there. If it's, you know, there's a lot of things that play into it. Make sure you have all your color codes, your time slots. Those have to match up with the repeater. If you don't have them, it won't work. Make sure you have just all the credentials matched up in your code plug, and everything should be good. You know, if that's still not working, make sure you're within range of the repeater. I'm sure you've done that already. So if you have more troubles after that, you know, give us a call, our tech team. We're always happy to help you. That number is 816-532-8451. We'd love to help you with anything radio related. So give us a call if you can't get it figured out. But I would double check all those items. Okay, awesome. Here we go. Jesse asks, 878 question. Should I create a channel for each talk group or just one channel and select the talk group from the list? Okay, perfect. I typically create a channel for each talk group. Like when I'm setting up a Skybridge, I will create a channel for each talk group. That's how I tend to do it. Now, if you have a lot of repeaters around the country, let's say, and you're not using a Skybridge, if you're traveling and just using local repeaters, you might have a lot of channels, and it might be tough to organize all of that, even with the zones. So in that case, you may you know, find yourself better off just having a channel for each repeater and then selecting your talk group from the talk group list. That works too, totally fine. But for the way I do it typically, most of my DMR I do through a Skybridge, so I have a channel for each one. That makes it real easy to scroll through and find them. Here we go. See, Gary asks, how do I import a local club's local plug into my plug and play code plug? Okay, 73KJ7GEZ. That's a good question. So basically what you're wanting to do is take your local code plug and merge it with the code plug in your plug and play package. Have this happen all the time. We covered on it a little bit earlier, touched on it. We'll go over it again real quick. So what you would do is take your plug and play package. I'd probably make a backup of it just to be safe. But then what you'll do is read from your radio, and then you'll go to Tool and Export. And I'll show you here again real quick. So if we jump into the computer. So go over here to your computer, open up that CPS. Once you've read from your radio, you're going to go up here to the Tool option, and then go to Export. Now you can export all or just a channel list. Depends how much information you want to change. Generally you just need the channel list, but zones can be affected. Keep that in mind. So you'll export that. Then you're going to do the same thing with your local code plug that your club gave you. So you'll open that. So you'll take that code plug, go to your CPS, and click Open here, and find that file, open it in your CPS. Then you'll go up to Tool again, and go to Export. Do the same process, export your channels. Then what you'll do is you'll take both of those files, open them up in like Excel or some kind of numbers processor. Doesn't have to be Excel, any of them will work fine. And then basically combine that information. So the info from your local repeater, your local club, probably for this you may want to take some zones over too. You may have to rebuild some of those zones, but you'll take that information and copy it over into your Ultra Code plug or whatever you have in your plug and play package. At that point, what you can do is go back over to that menu. So you'll go to Tool, and then Import, and you'll import, just click OK, and you'll import any of the things you've changed, and then rewrite that back to your radio. Now at this point, you'll have that information from both code plugs all into one. So hopefully that answers it for you. I would double check your zones, because depending on how you set everything up, zones can, you may lose some of that zone information from the one you transferred over if you're not careful on how you do it. So you may have to rebuild some zones. Just keep that in mind. Check your zones before you rewrite it. Otherwise you might be confused, but there you go. Okay. Let's find another question here real quick. Here we go. Dana West asks, when chatting on DMR, do you have to wait to reply? I hold off until I hear the beep and see the Skybridge show listening. Yeah, that's a good question. So with DMR, correct. You will want to wait until someone's finished talking. Just like anything else in ham radio, it's always a good idea to wait till someone's done talking before you jump in and start talking. That way they're actually going to hear you, and you'll be able to have a good communication that way. So absolutely, especially if you're trying to disconnect from a talk group, you do have to wait, if you're on the hotspot, until there's no activity to actually hit that disconnect, and that will disconnect you from your talk group. Here we go. Philip says, my hotspot don't let me hear anyone on my parrot. Disconnect works, but when I key up for talk groups, don't see or hear anyone. Okay, so parrot and disconnect work. I'm not sure if you're saying parrot works or not. If nothing's working there, there's a few things. Make sure you have your hotspot security password in Brandmeister. If you're using Brandmeister, make sure you have that in there and that's correct. That's probably the first thing I'd check. Beyond that, there's a variety of things it could be. We just need some more information. If you're still having trouble with it, give us a call, 816-532-8451. We can spend a little bit more time with you in your Skybridge one-on-one, get that fixed for you. That'll be my best advice there. Here we go. Here's a good question. We hear this quite a bit. A lot of people at the show in Florida, Hamcation, were actually asking this. John KJ7UZN asks, when mobile with Skybridge, would an external antenna, would it be helpful for more distance? That's a good question. So theoretically, it could be. From the testing we've done, we've tried a few different antennas with the Skybridge. much bigger antennas, higher gain antennas. We've actually generally had the same or better results with this antenna. So you can certainly try it, but we have actually had good results with the built-in antenna versus some of the others. Because the Skybridge puts out so little output power, it needs an antenna that's optimized for that versus a bigger antenna. So from what we've discovered, generally you're actually better off keeping with this. Really, they're not designed for long, great distance. They're designed to go with you, and they cover a large distance. I can walk a few blocks down the road here and still hit my Skybridge. It'll cover a large house, anything like that. But you know, for any great distance, at that point you'd be looking at some kind of repeater system. But the cool thing with the Skybridge, it comes with a battery, and you can hook it up to your cell phone's Wi-Fi, so you can take the Skybridge almost anywhere with you. Awesome, but good question. Let's see here. Okay. Okay, here we go. Joe 10 is back again with another question. Does Bridgecom have any conduit to submit experience improvements to Antitone to help fix lousy CPS? Not griping, an honest offer with usability professional. With a usability professional. Yeah, good question. So we can certainly, if there's something going on, let us know. We do have some involvement. We don't control everything they do, but we do talk to them, speak to them periodically, and suggest ideas. So if you have ideas, definitely let us know. You know, we'll get those ideas over to them. Can't promise it'll happen, but we'll definitely do the best we can to make it happen. We've had a lot of, they're pretty responsive about things, depending on what it is. I know they're working on some really cool stuff right now, so definitely let us know your ideas. You know, we don't have a direct way to make them change things, but if it's a good idea and we're on board with it and they are, we'll probably see it happen. So I appreciate it, Joe. If you guys have ideas, definitely let us know. Okay, let's see. Here we go. John asks, KJ7UZN, on the Skybridge, can you dim the display? Yeah, so that's a good question. I don't believe I've ever dimmed the display on my Skybridge. I do imagine that's possible, but I don't know if it's user accessible, if that's a feature we can adjust. Let's have a look in PyStar here real quick. Let's see, I do not see a way to dim the display on that. Doesn't mean it's not possible, but I don't believe that is a user accessible item, being able to change that display settings. Definitely, you know, you might be able to do some searching and figure something out on how to make it happen. If you're wanting more information, definitely give us a call. We can let you know if there is any workaround. But as for the normal use and function, there's not a way to dim the display on that. It is a nice brightness, so I've never had trouble with it. It's bright enough to see in most situations, but it's not too bright at nighttime. Now the radio, on the other hand, you can definitely change the display brightness on it. But if that's something you folks want to see, maybe we can implement that. Okay, here we go. This is from Paul. WB0BBC asks, some talk groups such as the Florida 3112 have a 10-minute limit. Can you explain what this means? Yeah, that's a good question. So there are some talk groups that have like a limit on how long you can talk or everything like that. That just basically stops people from getting on there and, you know, hogging the talk group, if you will. You know, if someone gets on there and just starts talking constantly, doesn't let anyone else in, some have a limit just on how long you can do that. That way it stops other people taking advantage of it. Every talk group can be a little bit different. I think generally repeaters are what have those limits. Maybe some talk groups do as well, but typically you see that with a repeater, they have limits for certain talk groups. So that's one of the great things with the Skybridge. Oftentimes you can get around all of that just using the Skybridge. Here we go. Here's a question. What's the foreseeable lifespan of the Antitone 868? When will the sunset for firmware affect its usability? Yeah, so that is this radio right here, the old original Antitone. These are neat little radios. It's kind of what started everything. But they've already, we don't sell them anymore. I don't think they even make them anymore. So they're still functional. The CPS still works. It's not going to stop working on you. It'll still continue to work. You're just not going to have a lot of the newer features, and you have that much smaller memory capacity, so you just aren't going to be able to keep up with the newer radios. But they still will work. So don't worry, we're not going to stop them working on you, but you won't be able to have all those new features and the bigger list like in the new radios. One of the reasons I really like the newer ones over that is you have much greater programmability from the front panel. 868, you can do a little bit with the VFO, but it's very limited. On the newer ones, you can actually program almost the entire radio from the front, which for me, I do a lot of stuff out in the field, so when I'm out there, I like to just punch it in on the fly, save it to a zone, etc. You can do that with the newer ones. But don't worry, we're not gonna kill your radio. Awesome. Let's see, another question here. Here we go. Stephen, KK7DTW says, I also would like to have a simpler CPS to use. I use iMac and had to buy a cheap Windows to use. I hear you there. I typically use Mac computers too. I'd like to see the CPS be able to be used on that as well. But for the time being, it's pretty much Windows only. A lot of the radio stuff is, unfortunately. So I just got myself a little computer to use for all of my radio stuff. But I'm totally in support of that. If there's anything we can do to make that happen, you bet I'll be on it. So I appreciate it. Yeah, here we go. Here's Bill says, I have heard rumors of a remote interface for the 578. Is this real? And if so, excuse me, do you know when it will become available? That's a great question. So I have heard some rumors as well. In fact, we actually have one of our advanced techs has already may or may not be looking at the prototype for one. So it's pretty cool. What that would allow you to do is have basically a Bluetooth remote mic for your 578. That way you can mount it, you know, in maybe a less user accessible location in your vehicle, and have a mic with an actual big old screen on it. It'll be really cool, but it's not official yet. We don't know if and when it will come out. If it was to come out, probably sometime late summer, something like that. Keep your eyes out. We'll let you know more if it comes to fruition, but it probably will. So it'll be really neat. Keep an eye out for it. Okay. Here we go. Here's a question. How do I enter the BridgeCom Plus giveaway as a member? So if you're a BridgeCom Plus member, there's sometimes exclusive giveaways for you. So like in our stream yesterday, we had 2 giveaways going on. We had one for regular members and one for BridgeCom Plus members, an exclusive giveaway. And there will just be a separate link for that exclusive giveaway for BridgeCom Plus. And at that point, you can enter the giveaway just like normal. We don't have any giveaways going on today's stream. We do have a big giveaway, over $4,500 we just started, so definitely check that out if you want to see giveaways. This stream is more about helping you folks as much as we can, getting some of these questions answered. Okay. Here we go, Eric. Let's see, KC8EWR. As much as BridgeCom promotes Brandmeister, is there any plans for a BridgeCom talk group? Yeah, that's a great question. I would love to see a BridgeCom talk group. I don't think Brandmeister is making more talk groups now. Maybe I've been misinformed. Yeah, if you have any ties, let's see if we can get a BridgeCom talk group going. I'd love to see that. That'd be really neat. Here we go. Roy asks, Cody, can you do a stream on programming a repeater from the front keypad. So I assume you mean a programming a repeater into your radio on the front? Absolutely. Would love to do another one of them. We actually just did one. I believe it was not this last stream, but the stream before. We actually showed you folks how to do that. So definitely go check that out. A couple weeks ago, or a week from yesterday, we did a stream that shows exactly that, and it worked. It went great. So go check it out. It's pretty simple, but we go over everything you need to know there. Okay, let's see. Here we go. NU3Q says, what is the proper way to shut down the Skybridge hotspot? So for the Skybridge, we recommend that you shut it down through Pi-Star. So in Pi-Star, you would simply just, we can switch over here and show you how you would do that. So if you're logged into it in Pi-Star, you can go to the dashboard, I believe, see if I can jog my memory. I'll be honest with you, I typically just unplug it. Let's see, power, yeah, so in your configuration, go to power, and then at this point you can either reboot or shut down. That is the proper way to do it. You know, that's what we recommend. But I'll be honest with you, for mine, I typically just unplug it. I've never had any issues. Not to say you haven't. I have seen people have issues with it that way. So that's a choice you have to make. It's a risk. If you do that, you know, it's potentially you could have issues. Ultimately, that's, you know, if I screw up my Skybridge doing that, it's on me at that point. It's what I typically do though. But this is the proper procedure to shut it down. Now, if you're worried about it, you can, of losing like info or something, you can make a backup of your SD card. If you're a little bit more tech savvy, a few options there. But if you're curious about the official way to do it, that will be this. Okay, awesome. Okay, we'll do let's see, one or two more questions here. Here we go. Timothy asks, can I turn multiple modes like DMR, D-Star, YSF on the Pi-Star configuration page at the same time, or just turn one on as needed? Absolutely, you can definitely turn multiple of those modes on. So if you want to have it set up for DMR, for System Fusion, D-Star, have them all active, you have those different radios, absolutely, you can do that. In fact, that's one of the big advantages of the Skybridge. You're going to be able to have those multiple modes turned on. And the benefit you'll get from that is instead of having to spend all that time going and changing it, if you want to say, hey, I want to talk on D-Star, you pick up your D-Star radio, you start talking. You want to go back to DMR, you pick up your DMR radio, you start talking. It's that simple. So absolutely, you can totally do that. Awesome. We'll do one more question here, and that's going to wrap it up. Let's see. Okay, here we go. Andy, KF0EZV, just to confirm on Jesse's question about adding talk groups, can add a repeater's info and then add the talk group in the zone section. Andy, yeah, so a little bit of clarification there. So you can add the zone or the talk group information is going to be added to the channel if you're programming your channel. And so you can make multiple channels with different talk groups. So typically, the way I'd set it up for a Skybridge is I make a channel for each talk group and just select that talk group in the channel. That way, whenever I go to that channel, it's going to be assigned to the talk group. Now, the suggestion I made is if you were having a lot of repeaters in around the country and you didn't have a Skybridge and you just want to have all those repeaters programmed in, could get a little bit cluttered if you have that many channels. You know, if you have 800 channels for each repeater, that would be add up pretty fast. So what you can do in that case is just have one channel for your repeater and then manually go and pick the talk group. You can actually punch it in on the number pad when you're talking that repeater, punch in the talk group you want to go to and go to that. That's probably going to be your best bet for that situation, but a couple different options there. Hopefully that clarifies it for you. Awesome. There we go. So that's all we have for today. Hopefully we've been of help to you folks. If you have more questions, if anything didn't get answered today, give us a call, 816-532-8451. We'd love to help you out with your radio. If you want to get set up with a plug-and-play package, let them know I sent you there, but we definitely want to help you. So whether you're interested in something or not, give us a call. We'll help you out with it. We're there for you. So that's all I have for today. I'm Cody, W3AMG with Bridgecom Systems, 7-3.